Episode 193, Ironman 70.3 Waco with Lizette, Ontario. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the pursuit of the perfect race. Today I have the pleasure of talking with Lizette about her recent race at Ironman 70.3 Waco that took place on October 28th, 2018. Notable about this race was the swim was canceled and the weather temperature, I mess up. Notable about this race is the swim was canceled and the temperature on race day was 54 and rose to 85. She has a great deal of information to share with us today, and I look forward to hearing about your race, Lizette. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So what made you want to do this race in the first place?
So I wanted to get a 70.3 under my belt. It's a bucket list, and Waco is, just a couple hours away. And I figured, why not? Let's try to get it out of the way.
Right, because you did Austin, and that swim was also canceled.
I did Austin, and the swim was also canceled. I'm starting to think that maybe it's me.
I don't think it is. I think it's the weather.
Yeah.
So going into this race, being that it was your second time to tackle the 70.3 distance, what was your training like?
I upped my training. So I learned in Austin that I had a good training plan, which prepared me in Austin. But at the end, every single part of my body hurt. I mean, my hair hurt. Okay. So I figured I needed a more robust plan. So I got a friend who shared his training plan with me that was very intense. So definitely upped my biking, definitely upped my running and my swimming, and really respected the training plan this time around. So by the time I was done, I actually felt like I had just raced, but I wasn't going to die.
Right. So going into this race, what was your longest swim, bike, and run workouts?
So my longest swim was it was over an hour, and almost 2 miles long.
Wow.
I can't remember exactly. Yeah. It was way more than what needed to be done. So my insecurity is the swim. That's why I started triathlons, because I'm deathly afraid of water. And
really?
So I don't like to live by fear. So I do triathlons to try to overcome that. And my longest bike ride, the longest bike ride was the Hotter Than Hell race that I did, the 100 miles, because I used that as part of my training. But normally we didn't go past 60 or 65 miles. And then my longest run was 2 hours and 15, which is kind of let me do a half marathon during that time.
Right. So going into your training a little bit here, what was the most hours of training you did in 1 week?
In a week? Ooh. Okay. So I would say anywhere between 50 and 20 hours. It really depended on what that week was, because every day I put in at least close to 3 hours.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Is that including strength training, rolling around, stretching, all this as well?
That includes everything. Let me see, because there was a day where all I had to do was run, and that would be about, 40 minutes or an hour long. But I also walked, and I did stretching. I did just different little other activities. But I would say 15 hours is definitely very, very safe, safe number.
So when you're not training or racing, what are you doing?
So I travel a lot for work. So I do travel quite a bit. I don't stop training when I travel. That is one of the hardest things. So at times, actually, I'd go to Chattanooga for travel. And I sign up at the gym there. I'd be in the pool at 5 a.m, and then I'd go do my, teach or whatever I had to do. And then I was in the gym at 4 or 5 o'clock. and finish my second training. Cause normally I had two sports a day. But I work a full-time job and 40-hour week type thing. I actually would work also 9 hours Monday through Thursday so that I only work 4 hours on Friday so that I can do my long bike rides on Friday.
Wow. Yeah. So you're working full-time and you also have a husband as well?
Yes. Husband, daughter in college, and a dog.
Wow. So what does he think about all this?
He's great. He's very supportive. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it without him. He cooks for me. He really allows me to do, because it's a lot of time away, and he's just very supportive.
Wow. So going into this, knowing that you're training on an average of 15 to 20 hours a week, you're also traveling for work. You have a husband that needs some of your time as well. How are you balancing 40 hours of work a week, 15 to 20 hours of training a week, traveling, and giving your husband enough time as well? And finding some time to text your daughter, I'm sure.
Right. So what was convenient about when I started my training was that my husband actually worked 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I wasn't taking any time away from him there, which I really love that schedule because I do feel guilty when I'm training. But what I try to do is I'll work out, when he switched schedules, I will get up early in the morning, work out at, 5 in the morning. I'll be at the pool by 4:45, 5 in the morning, because he's asleep. So I'm not taking time away from him. And then if I can do something at lunchtime at work, then I do my second one there. Otherwise, then I'm at the gym for another hour and a half. 2 hours, so I get home at around 6:30, 7. And then I did give him, cause Sundays also was I had stuff to do on Saturday and Sunday that also took a lot of time, 3 to 4 hours of my day.
Really?
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes my swim would be an hour and a little bit, and then I'd have to go run for another hour or so. So that's, and really I'm including getting ready and doing everything that I need to do if I need to drive somewhere. Because if I wanted to train hills, which didn't matter, I wanted to train hills, then I have to drive to wherever I'm going and run those hills. And then on Sundays, I had a long run, which could be up to, as short as an hour, as long as 2 hours and something. And then I also had a swim. So, and the swim would be another hour. So this training was different. It was really intense, but you just maximize the time. I just maximize whenever I was with him on Saturdays. I maximized the time with him on Saturday and everything that I could on Sunday. And then we talked on the phone a lot during the afternoons when I was home.
Wow. So knowing that you're training upwards of 15 to 20 hours in the bigger weeks, and you also have all this other stuff that you're trying to balance and do as well, were there any days where you just mentally didn't want to train?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you always get those days, but I think the trick, to training anything, I mean, I don't care if it's a triathlon. I don't care if it's a marathon or a half marathon or a 5K. My trick is I don't think about it. I just wake up and do it. So I don't hesitate. So in the morning, if I'm going to go for a bike ride, I just get up and keep on going. I put on whatever I need to put on. I get ready. I get my waters. I get, my fuel. I get on the bike and I keep on going. And I don't think about what I'm about to do other than what route I might take or what I have to do. So I kind of don't allow myself to do that. And then training partners, that is also very helpful.
Really?
I had 2 training partners, 2 people that I convinced to do Waco with me. And so I would bike with, the long bike rides. I was able to go out with them. Since we were training for Hotter Than Hell, I had some other friends that didn't do Waco, but did Hotter Than Hell, that I could do my long bike rides, because that's the hardest thing for safety more than anything. When you're going 50 miles or 60 miles, it's nice to have someone just in case something happens, the running so much, I don't care. My running buddy actually got hurt. So a lot of the running I did by myself. Wow. But this training plan was great. I think if you respect the training plan, one thing I learned is by respecting the training plan, I felt I got stronger and stronger after every workout. So that feeling of not wanting to work out was less because I just felt so strong, and my nutrition was okay. Just normal eating. I don't deprive myself of anything. I do have pizza, but I do Monday through Friday. I'm very disciplined with what I eat. And then on the weekends, I may splurge.
May? Huh? You may splurge or you do splurge?
I do at least one day. I love pizza. So I'll have either a pizza or a burger on the weekend, but even the burger, it'll be an iceberg. I love the lettuce wrap burgers. They taste so fresh that I actually prefer those now more than I do the regular buns. But I will have, I'll eat out. I'll do whatever. When my husband and I'll have a date, of course,
Wow. So to transition a little bit here, whenever you start thinking about when you made your reservations to go down to Waco, where were you going to stay? How are you going to get your bike there? I mean, I know you live in Texas up here in North Texas. I'm sure you just drove it down there, but what did your lodging and all that look like?
So I just got a hotel that was close to the race. And since I travel a lot, it gives you perks. So I have points. So I just stayed on my points, in a nearby Marriott. I mean, it was just, 4 miles away, maybe.
That's not bad.
And not bad at all. And there was no traffic in the morning. We can talk about the venue, but the venue was great in terms of that and the parking and accessibility and all that. So we just stayed we stayed there. So I did that planning early to make sure I can get a good hotel. And then the plan was just to, drive the car down and with the bike in it.
Okay. So whenever you think about your travel going down to Waco and coming back, when did you want to leave North Dallas and come back to North Dallas?
So I left on Saturday for so that I can put my bike in. Since it's only an hour and a half away from where I'm at, it's not a big deal. It's just, an easy drive down. But I left early in the morning. I definitely wanted to make one of the athletic briefings since, that the whole thing about the swim was so up in the air, whether we were going to do it. I mean, I actually calculated the current speed. Okay. So someone said it was about 7-8 miles per hour. So I calculated how long it takes the water to go a mile. It was 8 minutes and, it was like 8.23 minutes. And I was like, I can get on my back and flat. Yes. At 7 to 8 miles per hour, it takes the river, the water from where we were going to start to where we were going to end. If it was a point to point, 8.23 minutes. I did the calculation and I was like, I could just get on my back and let the water do this whole thing and just worry about drifting, making sure that I stay. So I was a bit concerned about that. But we got there, early enough so that I could make the athletic briefing and then, checked into the hotel, put my bike up, checked into the hotel. And then we left on Sunday because I knew. So in Austin, even though I felt like, everything hurt, including my hair, like everything hurt. I was walking. It was, I told my husband, I grabbed him by his shirt, like, don't you ever let me do this again. And by the next day, it just felt like I had a workout, but I wasn't in pain. So then I was like, okay, maybe I can do this again. And he says, I knew you were going to change your mind. So based on that experience and knowing how I was training, I knew we can leave on Sunday. So we just came back on Sunday and he drove. I just relaxed.
Okay. So after you get down to Waco, you check in your hotel, you go to an athlete briefing, check your bike in. What was your impression of the Ironman Village here?
I loved it. I thought it was, I really loved it. I mean, it was, so the difference between that one and Austin, I think the Ironman Village and the tent and the way everything was set up was just perfect and conducive for you to buy your stuff and your goodies and then leave, So I really liked the venue. I really enjoyed Waco more than I did Austin.
Really?
And yeah, I did. I liked it more. Definitely.
Wow. So as you go through your athlete check-in, get all your stuff, what was this process like for you? Was it complicated? Did you wait in lines? What was this like?
There was a short line to check in, but it wasn't horrible. I mean, it was just a few people in front of me. I mean, maybe, 25, 30 people, but it went pretty quickly. Like they were moving us along pretty quick. They had it running really nice. And I saw the line get a little longer than where I started, but it was still a constant flow. So you were coming in, they were doing everything pretty quick, and you went straight into the tent area, got your goodies, paid, and even the line to pay seemed long. There were, 20 people in front of me, but it still went really fast. So, I told my husband, hold my spot here. I went to check a shirt and another thing. And by that time, he's like, I'm about to pay, so I was very impressed with how Waco, everything is moving pretty quick.
Okay. So how did the athlete briefing go for you?
So it went as expected. They canceled the swim. And then I heard just the details of what it was going to be. I'd actually gone down a few weeks before and done the bike course with another group.
Oh, yeah?
So I knew what to expect on the bike. Yeah. And even though they told us, you really want to check the runs, you really want to check the run, you really want to check out that hill, we all were like, that can't be that bad. And I regret not checking the hill. But, so I was pretty comfortable with that. But I also was bringing fuel down for someone from, I think, Washington, some person on the Waco page who had already traveled to Waco and forgot her fuel, happened to use EFS, which is what I use. So we met at the athletic briefing, and I gave her her fuel for her race day the next day.
Wow. So how was bike check-in? I know this is a grass transition. What was your impression of this transition area versus Austin's last year?
So the only thing I found weird about this transition area is that they had the bikes racked in a single file, right? There was no break in the middle. So, normally I would have seen in a single file, but maybe a break in the middle. That's the only thing. And I ran into one of the directors or someone who was helping, and I said, you really should consider leaving like an aisle in the middle, because that gives the option for the people in the middle. They only can go one way, and then they have to go all the way out, versus if they can just go straight down the middle, then you have more access to the bikes. And he thought it was a good idea. I don't know if they'll adopt that, but that's about the only thing in that transition area was that, you had a huge line of bikes. So I was lucky that I was in the edge, but if I would have been in the middle, I just feel it would have been convenient to have that little lane, because typically you see them set up and there is an aisle in the middle, for you to go down, have 3 aisles, 2 in the end, 1 in the middle. So that was the only thing that I thought about that I found weird. But other than that, it was big enough. There was space for the bikes. It was a very comfortable area. So I didn't have, other than that, I think that's the only improvement I would say they can do for next year.
Okay. So as far as your nutrition the day before, are you wanting to get in a certain meal like pizza, or are you wanting to get something a little bit better for you?
So it's funny. We were looking for, in Hotter Than Hell, we did, spaghetti and stuff like that, because, the dinner fuels your morning, right? And your morning fuels your afternoon. So we didn't necessarily find the pasta, so I actually did go for the pizza. So I actually did have pizza, and it was okay. It's not my preference. I actually like, because the pasta is a little bit more, I feel it's lighter on the stomach than the pizza is. But I couldn't find it. And then there were some people joking on the Ironman Waco page, they could do an athletic briefing at Olive Garden because there's so many people here. And that's why I didn't go there, because I knew there would be a lot of people. And not knowing the area as well, I was like, I guess pizza's going to be. Right. It wasn't too bad. And without the swim, I think not knowing that the swim wasn't going to be there and knowing that I was going to be able to wake up a little, or be calmer during the morning, I wasn't too concerned.
Right. So going into this race, what time are you trying to get in bed the night before the race?
Oh, I was in bed around 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was in bed around 9. Definitely, laying down in bed at least by 9. I'm an early bird. So, and I try to, yeah. But but I think for this race though, I was in bed by 9, but I woke up at 3 a.m. And wow. Then I was like, okay, no, we could sleep. We could actually sleep in for this race because there's no swim,
Right.
And So I tried to go back to sleep, and it was like, okay, well, maybe an hour has passed and 15 minutes had gone by. And I was like, oh boy, this isn't working. So, I was able to go back to sleep, and I woke up at, I don't know, 6-ish, because I couldn't sleep any longer. I normally can't sleep past 6 anyway.
Right. So you get up on race day, and what is your race day morning ritual like before y'all leave the Marriott?
So I went down, I make sure I get my breakfast. I normally so this time, again, since we didn't have swim and I had more time to digest, then I did have a little bit of eggs. I have the Uncrustables that I eat, the peanut butter and jelly, because they're good to travel with. If I'm home, I'll just have, I'll make myself a PB&J. But I actually had a good hearty breakfast, with a little bit of eggs, not too much, but a little bit of eggs, a little bit of toast, and then my Uncrustable. And I had a little 5-hour energy a few hours after, just to give me that kick to start off with, and orange juice and water. I mean, I was definitely hydrated. I definitely started hydrating the day before and not the day before. I'd been hydrating, but I was definitely hydrating leading up, because I used the bathroom a lot, that morning of, which I was like, okay, this is good. I did good. But then also on rest stop 1, I had to stop and go to the bathroom. So I was like, okay, Lisa, you're really hydrated. This is good. This is what you want, kind of, right?
Right. So as you're approaching getting down to the transition area, are you going to park at a certain place? How is parking for you?
So my husband just dropped me off, because there was no need for him to stay. So he just tracks me on the app, and he literally just dropped me off right before where they had some streets closed off. So it's like a block or so that I had to walk. So it was a breeze. I met up with my friends, and we all got, body marked together, and then went to our bikes and finished setting up transition.
Okay. So you get to transition. What are you doing in transition before you actually get ready to go out on the time trial start bike?
So this is going to sound bad, but in the Ironman Waco, there was a discussion about, can you call yourself an Ironman? And I kind of trolled some people, and they were really upset at me, because I was like, I'm going to call myself an Ironman. I'm not half anything. And they were really upset. And then I told them, listen, I'm just joking, So I went and found those people and was like, hey, I'm Lizette. How are you? I hope you had a good laugh. And they realized later, and they all lightened up, of course, when I was like, I was joking. So I went and because it made it, since there wasn't a swim, it was just such a relaxed setting. Everybody was joking. I don't think there were a lot of people that were upset about the swim being canceled. So everybody was, because they understood safety, even the ducks were having issues on that water, I was like, and that's what they do. They swim in that water. And I saw one going in circles. So I was like, we don't need to be in that water. So it was so relaxed. I went, I got a pump, I aired up my tires, my friend's tires, and, and was just asking people, how they were doing, just talking. It was very relaxed. Like, we weren't about to bike 56 miles and run 13.1, it was more of a, yeah, we're here and everybody's here for the same reason kind of thing. So it was just talking to everyone.
Wow. So after you get everything ready and you get lined up, what time do you feel like you actually started your bike ride?
I think it was at 9 is when I started. It was either 9 or 9:30 when I started my bike ride.
Okay. So what was your mindset going into this race?
Before or after I knew that the swim was canceled? You mean the day of?
Yeah, the day of.
Oh, the day of, I was just going to treat it like it was a normal race and nothing had been canceled. I was going to go all out in the bike, following my training plan, and when I say go all out is, just keep my cadence up. I try to keep my cadence above 90. So just be at the gear that keeps my cadence above 90. And then, and I knew, since I had already done the course before, I knew that a lot of the inclines were at the front, but they weren't that bad. So I knew they weren't going to be that bad. So I was already mentally prepared. So I was ready for the bike. The bike didn't bother me at all. And then, so my mentality was like, and then just once you get off the bike, we start the run. But the bike was great. Even though there were some headwinds at some point, I was just ready to attack the course.
Wow. So are you going off of heart rate or power or anything like this?
So I go off of, I train by heart rate. I do train by heart rate, but at the race, I wasn't looking so much at my heart rate because I already, so you can kind of gauge. And I knew already in training, I knew that if I keep my cadence at a certain level, then I'm fine. And that's what I focused on. I put my little computer so that I can see what my cadence was. Because I didn't really want to wear my heart rate monitor because of chafing. So and my Garmin, my watch does give me heart rate, but I wasn't going to be looking at it. So I did kind of, play it by ear, and it worked. I mean, it was fine. Cause when I looked at my Garmin results, I think my average was like, I don't know, 154 or 158 was my average heart rate for the bike.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as going into the actual bike ride here, they literally just say, all right, you can go. And all right, you can go. All right, you can go. I mean, it's like every 6 seconds or so you get out on the bike ride. How does the first 2 miles of the bike ride go for you?
So it was interesting because, with that time trial or whatever you call it, that they had us going out, it was almost impossible for little groups and pockets not to form. So you have to be careful about drafting, right? And it was very difficult at the beginning, not trying to draft and not in passing people and doing. So it didn't feel crowded though. Excuse me. Other than there were just some pockets where groups would form. And I would just try to get out of the pocket, those little pockets. Some people didn't know, once you're overtaking someone, they should, stop pedaling or wait for you to pass. They have to let themselves get taken over so that, and then they can move over and pass you if they wanted to, so we had a lot of newbies, but I was just passing people when I could and staying behind to not draft when I didn't. And when I saw that there were this conglomerate or pocket of people, I would just try to pass them as fast as I could just to get it out of the way. Cause they were calling a lot of penalties. So they were calling for drafting and, I didn't want to be one of those. I saw a couple people get called for penalties in front of me. So I was trying to make sure that I steered clear from that.
Wow. So as far as your nutrition plan goes for the bike ride, you're trying to hit about 200 calories an hour. How did you hit this, and did this work well for you?
See, so I say 200 and it's probably right, but with I use the EFS, electrolyte fuel system. And I know the bottle has 400 calories in it. So I normally take 2 squirts of that. So what I do is about every 10 miles or every 40 minutes or so is when I fuel. So I was alternating between that and between my blocks, my Cliff blocks. And then they gave me Gatorade. So I had some Gatorade. But that's pretty much what I fueled with. It was the Cliff blocks and then my EFS, shots. And I had 2 of those bottles and I ended up finishing 1 throughout the race. So I know I was taking at least every time I was going, it was at least 100 and something calories just from my EFS.
Okay. So as far as the quality of the road goes and the aid stations here, did they have enough of what you needed? And was the road quality a challenge for you?
Oh, so actually the road, I liked the road. It was nice. There wasn't much chip seal. I didn't really get a lot of chip seal. And there was a part where it was just smooth as ice. It was like heaven. So I thought it was fine. I mean, there were some areas that had construction, but it wasn't horrible. I don't think Hotter Than Hell was horrible. or it had more chip seal and, you know, more of those. The aid stations were fine. I mean, they had water. I only took water or Gatorade from them, and maybe a Cliff Blocks. So for me, they had enough of what I needed, but I wasn't trying to spend too much time, you know, getting stuff. I wanted to keep on going. So I did stop in every rest stop to get a Gatorade or something like that and empty out my water bottle, or not empty out, I'm sorry, pour my Gatorade into the water bottle. So I wasted a little bit of time there. Not horrible. And I think I might have had a Red Bull at one of them at the very end. My last one, the last rest stop, they had a Red Bull. So I had, you know, just about half of one and then tossed the rest because I couldn't drink the whole thing, while I was there. So, but I loved the volunteers and they were really well supported. And to me, at least, they had enough of everything that you would have needed, at least when I went through. That was my experience.
So as you're getting on to the later portion of the bike ride, miles, say 35, 45, and edging up into the 50, how are you feeling and how are you holding up mentally? This episode is sponsored by Wasatch Apparel. Wasatch Apparel was founded on the belief that everyone should have the ability to have custom quality apparel without the stress of dealing with large clothing companies. The vision of Wasatch Apparel is to provide the highest quality apparel for endurance and fitness enthusiasts. They specialize in custom triathlon and cycling gear. Whether you're an individual that wants to make an impression or a large team that needs kits for everyone, Wasatch Apparel has the highest quality and customer service to deliver exactly what you need. Thank you, Wasatch Apparel, for sponsoring this episode. 35, 45, and edging up into the 50. How are you feeling and how are you holding up mentally?
So I was pumped. So around mile 44, it's funny that you would mention 45, around mile 44 to about 48 or 49, before we made the last left that would take us home, there was a headwind and I was like, okay, when I did this, there wasn't wind. And I knew that I could have gone a lot faster, you know, without the wind. But I saw that the end was near where I was going to make the left and I was going to go back home. So I was excited to go back home and, you know, to transition. I say home, but transition to start the run. And, you know, I got a burst of energy at that point because, you know, I was like, okay, once you hit that turn, we're about 6 miles. That's nothing. You know, we're there. We've already done 50, you know, so I actually just got a burst of energy. I started passing a whole bunch of people. There was this one lady who I'm passing and she says, where is this wind coming from? You know, because it was really windy. And she says, it doesn't matter where we turn. And I told her, in Texas, it comes from everywhere. Don't worry about it. Just go for it, you know? And yeah, so I got a burst of energy at the very, very end. And I was just ready. I was like, okay. And I was feeling great. I was feeling strong. You know, I was feeling like the workouts were effective. So I was ready to get the run started. Wow.
So as you're getting closer to T2, are you having any cramping or GI issues?
No, not at all. I didn't get no cramping, no anything. I was making sure that I was, you know, hydrating. And I drank a lot of the Gatorade and then I would drink some water. And that I did pretty often throughout the ride.
Okay. So as you're actually getting into T2, how does T2 go for you? And how does the first 2 miles feel for you?
So I went in, it was normal. It was fine. You know, going into T2, it's a long T2. We were joking that, you know, we got the 1.2 just in the transition area.
Really?
Because it was long. It was a really big transition area. You have, you know, 3,000 people. It has to be big, right? So, excuse me. So, you know, I was fine going in and then I just put my bike up. I think I'm not great with transitions. You know, I don't train knowing that I'm going to place. So I'm not always in the best run, rush. So I just sat down. I text my husband, hey, I'm about to start my run. And I know. So coming back when I crossed the bridge from the bike before I got to T2 back to the transition area, I saw my daughter My daughter and her boyfriend were there on the bridge. I didn't see my husband, but I saw them. That gave me also energy. That the crowd and the people there is, it's, I don't know if they understand how much it means to us when we're, coming back from doing what we're doing, whether it's biking or running. So I was pumped going into T2. I didn't see my husband. So I'm like, hey, I'm about to start my run, and then I put my shoes on really quick, put my shoes on. I took another shot of EFS. I took a little 5-hour energy and then started my run. The first 2 miles of the run, I started out great. I mean, I was very comfortable. I felt strong starting the run and I was doing fine until I got to the hill. When I got to that first hill, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I start running the hill and then I realize, okay, this hill is, quite the hill. So at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to make an executive decision here and I'm going to finish it walking. So I walked up the hills because I realized that even in my walking, the people that were running, I was still kind of catching them. So it was really steep, the first one. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to walk it up. So I walked up the hill. I ran everything else. And then where I would see hills, I would just, I would start running it a little bit and then I would walk the rest of it. And then I would keep on going. And I was a bit demoralized after that because I knew I'd have to do it again.
Really?
But as
it's a 2-loop course.
It's a 2-loop course. So I was a bit demoralized thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to go up that hill again. And this is going to suck because I'm going to be, 6 miles into this now or 7 miles into it when I have to face this hill again. And this is going to really suck. But it turns out the second time wasn't as bad as the first. I think but I think it's because, mentally, and as I'm coming to the hill, so I do my loop, I'm running my loop and all I can think about is the hill. And, if you're a runner, we have a lot of people in our head talking while we're running, right? So I'm like, I can't believe we're going to do that. Oh, this is going to suck. And I'm starting to bring myself down. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, are you hurting? No. Body check. How do your arms feel? Strong. How do your quads feel? They're fine. How do your legs feel? They're fine. Your calves, they're fine. All right. So I need you to shut it and keep running. And then I was like, we will stop when we get to the hill. This is the mental craziness that happens in runner's mind. And that's exactly what I did. Once I got to the first hill, I walked up, I walked it up. I ran the thing, did the same thing. And then I saw the guy that had the 2 prosthetics.
Really? Patrick.
And I saw Patrick and I was going down the hill. I think I was going down the hill and I think he was also going down the hill. And I saw Patrick and it was like he zapped energy into me. I saw him. I was like, okay, now you really have no excuse. Now you really need to shut it. And I just got a burst of energy. And once I started coming down those hills, I just got faster and faster and faster all the way to the end. I mean, it was, and mind you, I don't run fast. Okay. So faster and faster is, 9:30-minute mile, so it's not super speed, but I felt just stronger and stronger and stronger. And the closer I got, the stronger I felt, and I think the trick too was as I'm running, I would stop at the rest stops, but I would grab ice and I would put ice because like you mentioned earlier, we went from 54 to 80 something and it was a hot 80 something degrees. So in order to keep my core temperature down, I would grab the ice. I would put half of it in the front side of my tri-suit and then the other half in my back. And that kept my core temperature down. And then I would drink a little bit of water. I had an orange at one point because I really think oranges are amazing when you're running or biking for energy. So I had an orange here and there. But that was one of the things that I did do. I kept on every time I would grab ice and I would put it in the front and in the back, kept my my core temperature down. So I didn't really suffer the 80 something degrees.
Wow. So as you're actually using this strategy to keep yourself cool and make sure that you're actually getting enough nutrition from all the aid stations, how is your mindset? Are you doing okay mentally throughout this half marathon?
Yeah, so I was fine. Like I said, I was fine until I hit that wall. And then I was like, oh, this is a pretty serious one. I only had that one little lapse of the second time when during my first loop, knowing that I had to do a second loop, I was a little demoralized because I was thinking, oh my goodness. And one of the things that I hate most is walking when I'm racing. And sometimes you have to, right? And my idea was, well, I can run this up now and then not have energy and not be able to finish strong, or I can walk, conserve some energy and finish, and be able to finish strong. So throughout the race, it was just more of a, we need to get through it. And I do a body check, like, okay, does something hurt? Are you in pain? Where does it hurt? Nothing hurts. Then we need to keep on going, and if I feel a little discomfort, okay, what is going on? And maybe adjust my step. Maybe I've gotten lazy. Maybe maybe my form I'm lacking in my form. So then I try to bring my form back up when I'm running, if I had any pain, but it was difficult in the sense of just because of that hill just got in my head. But once I was able to get over the hill, I was fine.
Okay. So a lot of people really struggle in the later portions of the run, and you've even mentioned that yourself. Why do you even do this in the first place, knowing that no one's really paying you to do this and you're paying to do this?
Because we're crazy. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know why I do this, because it is hard, but I think it's a way of proving to yourself, it's the satisfaction of when you finish, because you've done something that very few people do because it's so, difficult. And I think it's really the satisfaction at the end, saying that I'm able to complete it. And honestly, the pride that goes, I still don't call myself a half Ironman because I have to complete the 70.3 in order to do that. But I've completed, I did that calculation too. 0.02% is the swim. I'm basically an Ironman, right? 0.02% is the swim.
Right.
But I want that 0.02%. So, I think I don't know why I do. I like it, and while I'm doing it, and mind you, during the run at some point, I said, why are you doing this? Okay, we're not doing this again. Forget it. Who cares if you don't get the 70.3? But as soon as I finished, it was, okay, I need to do this again because I need to get the 70.3,
Right.
So.
Wow. So as you're approaching the later portion of the run, miles 11, 12, and 13, how are you feeling?
I was feeling great. I actually felt really, really good. I was getting faster. I felt I was getting stronger. I kind of just put my head down and started running. I got into a good cadence. I got into a comfortable pace. And I was actually passing a lot of people at the very, very end. Once I came out of Cameron Park and started making my way back, it was just, I had a 5K at that point. It was 3 miles left because I saw the 10-mile marker, and I'm like, it's a 5K. You can do this in your sleep. You got this. It's not a big deal. Let's just do this. And I don't know. I just got stronger and stronger. And then I saw Patrick, and I felt even more inspired. And it just kept on going. And I just got into a comfortable cadence and said, okay, take this to the end. And that's what I did. And it worked.
Wow. So as you approach the bridge here and that's the finish line, how was your emotions and your finish line experience here?
Oh, I was so excited and so pumped. I got a burst of energy coming up, when we were coming up that little hill to get on the bridge. I was passing people there too, because I was just so ready to finish and so excited. When Austin, it's funny because when I did my first one in Austin, so I had suffered a setback during my training with my running. So I couldn't train for the run as much for Austin. So I was in a lot of pain, and Austin was 3 loops. And every time I just said to myself, why don't you just stop? Why don't you just stop? Many times in many of the loops. And when I saw my husband in Austin, I was so emotional because I was in so much pain. My body literally hurt. Everything hurt. But somehow I saw my husband, and my husband said, come on, baby, you got this. You've trained. And I filled with energy in Austin and was able to finish actually pretty strong. And then here for Waco, I didn't have that, but I had everybody, the crowd was just like, oh, you have it. You did this, and everybody's just cheering you on. And I just, I got that burst of energy because I was about to finish, and I just blasted through that, the very end. I was very excited to finish. I couldn't wait to stop anyway. So it was just that extra effort to get there and just finish the race and get some food and relax.
Wow. So did you trip on the bridge, or did you see anybody that tripped on the bridge?
I didn't. I saw pictures of someone who tripped on the bridge, but I didn't trip on the bridge.
Wow. So after you finish, what'd you get to do next?
So after we finished, they had, the food for us. They had pizza, which is my favorite. They had pizza. They had like a burrito. They had the, bananas for potassium and all sorts of goodies. I can't really eat right after I do a lot of exercise. So I did get the food, to see if I can eat it. I ended up giving it to my daughter and just saying, you guys can eat. Cause I don't eat immediately after. I can probably have a banana or something like that, but it has to be light. So I need to wait, which is horrible because I need to wait, 30 minutes, 45 minutes before I can really just get something and hold it in my body. But the food was good. There was plenty food, plenty to drink, areas. We sat down in a grassy area under a tree. It was very nice.
Wow. So after you get done with all of this, you get ready to head home.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was funny because my 2 friends were there, but I was so upset. I couldn't wait for them because my husband actually had to get home to prep for his food for the next day, for his next 3 days of work. So we actually had to leave pretty quick. Right before he was saying, do you think you'll be done by 3? We need to be on the road by 3, And I'm telling him, why are you putting this pressure on me?
So I don't know, even with Marriott, you can't really, you have to check out by 10:30, maybe 11 at the latest, right?
Right. So since I travel for work, I'm platinum with Marriott. So with them comes perks. And one of the perks is I can check out at 4.
Ah, yeah. So you see where that's going with the whole shower issue, right?
Yeah.
So you were able to go back, get your shower in.
I was able to go back. Yep. I was able to go back, shower, change, and head out on the road. I left everything packed before I headed out that morning. And then I knew I was going to want to shower real quick. So I was able to shower and everything.
Wow. So what's something that you actually learned from this race experience that you want to pass on to someone who hasn't done this race before?
Wow, that's a good question. So what did I learn from this one? I guess in this one, I learned, training matters and being disciplined and respecting your training matters. I think that was the difference between Austin and this one. I really respected my training. I really respected my recovery weeks. I really respected when it said moderate versus fast pace versus recovery pace. And I think that made the difference in this one. So I would say, you get a training plan. If you can get a coach, even better, because I did have my friend who was an Ironman who coached me, and it's accountability. And I would talk to him about how I felt, and he would tell me, okay, you're feeling fine. And sometimes there was one week, for example, on Thursday, I was like, I'm so tired. And he said, okay, then you must be not following the training plan. You shouldn't feel like you can't get up in the morning. You shouldn't feel that tired during training. So I did try to, respect the training plan, and I did. And what I found out was by respecting the training plan, I actually felt stronger after every workout. I found it more pleasurable to even work out, and it really made me stronger for this race. So I'm looking forward to next year, because next year, I'm going to put in even more effort to the training, respect the plan, and be in a better position come next year to really, I want to level that score with the hills. It's hills 0, Lisi 1. I want to at least get it hills 1, Lisi 1 next year.
So looking back on it, how well prepared for this race do you feel like you were? Being that you had to walk some of the hills.
I think I prepared pretty well for this race. I could have done more hill workout, and that definitely would have helped. But I think had I done the course like previously when I did the bike course, had I just seen the hills, it's all mental, right? If I would have seen the hill and mentally prepared for them, I would have been better prepared. That's why for next year, I know I'll be better prepared. But I think I prepared a lot better for this race. I mean, even though I had to walk the hills, I don't see that as a negative. It was just, I made an executive decision of conserving my energy. I found it smart. I finished strong, so it worked.
Okay. So if you could change anything about your race experience here at the Waco race, what would you change?
I don't know that there's anything that I would change, actually, because I had a very, very good experience. I was very happy with the venue. I was very happy with how transition went. I was very happy. The only thing I would change is hopefully we can swim next year, but that's out of their control. That's the only thing I want. I want to be able to swim.
Right. So for first timers, being that you've been around a little bit with 2 races now that were both time trial starts, what advice would you give first timers next year? Definitely
get a good training plan. Train with other people if you can, for that accountability, and stick to it. I mean, there will be days where you'll think like, why am I doing this? When I was on travel and I had to wake up at 5 a.m. to go swimming, and then I had to go in the afternoon to do, that was probably the hardest week I had, because I didn't want to get up at 4:30 so that I can be in the pool by 5, and then do a full day, and then everything else while I'm on travel. I'm not even home. I'm not outside on my bike. I'm on a stationary. But I would say, get a good training plan, get good partners, get a coach if they can get a coach, especially if they're new, because they do have a lot of valuable information. My friend, who was my mentor and coach, he had a lot of valuable information of what he had learned, how to fuel and how to be successful in the race, how to at least finish without feeling that you're going to die.
Right. So, Lizette, we covered a lot about your race. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I'll be back in Waco. So I hope to see a lot of the people that were there this year. I know in the Facebook page, they're saying they'll be back. It was a good group. I hope to see a lot of them back there again.
Awesome. So what's next for you?
So next, I actually have a race on Saturday. Well, I double booked on Saturday. I have a 10K and excuse me, I have a 10K in the morning, and then I have a half marathon in the afternoon. Just happened to be that way. I didn't realize they were both the same day. And then in December, I'm doing the Dallas Marathon. It'll be my first marathon.
Wow. So are you going to do Galveston next year?
I don't think so. My friend is doing Galveston. But I have a lot of travel through the holiday season, and it's travel, like some is vacation where I know I won't be able to train as much as I will. And I'm going for 2 weeks. I'm visiting my mom in Puerto Rico, so I can't really train there for 2 weeks. And then I have another 2 weeks in Chattanooga. So Galveston is, it's iffy. It depends on whether I can actually, if I feel that I can get my training like throughout January, maybe. But I'm definitely pushing for Waco.
Okay. So what races are on your bucket list?
So races left on my bucket list. I actually want to do the half marathon or the marathon in the Wall of China. Really?
Really?
Yes. It's crazy because you're going up the stairs the whole time.
Right. Or
but
down.
I want to do, for now, yeah. I want to do that one. Honestly, my bucket list is I wanted to do a marathon, which in December, hopefully, I'll be able to do that. And I want to complete the 70.3.
A real one.
A real one with the swim. I need the swim. It's 0.02%, but I need the swim. I don't think I'll do a full Ironman, even though I said I'll never do a marathon either. And here I am doing a marathon. But yeah, I think I'll stop at the half Ironman, at least for me. That's about it. I've made a lot of my bucket list items. This year I was knocking out a lot of them.
I mean, honestly, with 15 to 20 hours of training going into a 70.3, based on what I've learned through this podcast, that is plenty enough of volume to carry you through a full. I mean, maybe increasing it to 21, 22, maybe, but.
And that's what I've been told. But you know what it is? It's not even about the biking and the running. I will bike 100+ miles and I will run the marathon at the end and I don't have a problem. But the thought of being more than 2 miles in the water, because I'm not a fast swimmer, which will take me more than an hour in the water. That is what kills it for me. That is where I'm just like, because it's very mental for me and I don't want to be, I don't want to be mental for 2+ miles.
It's a barrier. I mean, even though you covered more than 2 miles in training going into Waco, you don't want to do that in open water?
Yeah.
I mean, you did that, right? You did more than 2 miles in training.
Yes.
For a 70.3.
Yes. And it's so crazy because in the pool, I'll go back and forth all day. I can stay there for 2 hours and it's not a problem. But when so if I can find an Ironman where I know I can touch the ground, I'll swim 3 miles. So my hang-up.
So you're scared of deep water.
I'm scared of deep water. I'm scared that even though I don't have to stand up, even though I can swim for 2 hours and not it doesn't bother me. I can swim I've swam for an hour and a half before and I've been fine. I'm not even winded.
But you're looking down the line. You can stand up. You have the safety net.
So what I was doing was I was closing my eyes in the pool to get the feeling of
anxiety.
Of being in open water. The problem is that even though I close my eyes, the mind is very powerful. I knew I can stand up. See? And if I can find, if I were in a race, and it's not that I need to stand up, it's just that I like to know that I can. And that's the whole mental. So that's the only thing that would hold me from the Ironman. It's just, I'm very mental. Like I said, I started these because I was afraid of the water and I wanted to overcome that fear. And I think I've done more than enough. It used to terrify me doing the pools, the sprints. It used to terrify me to have to swim 300 meters in the water in a pool. And now it's nothing.
Do you swim in the deep end of a pool?
Yeah, it's not a problem. See, because it's a controlled area. Even if I'm in the middle lane of a deep pool, I'm very close to the edge where I can get to somewhere that I can stand up. You know what I mean? Or pull myself out of the water. It's very mental. I just need, honestly, if I get more open water swims and I get more comfortable being out there in the water and experience more of the things that happen in the water, like I have experienced in the pool, water in my face, water going up my nose, goggles filling up with water, and I don't panic anymore. It doesn't bother me anymore because I've been through it, been there, done that. So I know what I need to do, but I don't have that experience in the open water. So I think it's really that. I think if I really focus on the open water, I might do it. I just have to get over that hurdle.
Man. Well, Lizette, has been great hearing from you. And to conclude the episode, I only have one more question left, and that's, what's your definition of a perfect race?
One that I can complete without dying. One that I can complete where my body doesn't ache. I mean, I don't know. There's this thing where I train in all sorts of weather because you can't pick your weather on race day. So rain doesn't stop me from running outside. Rain doesn't stop me from biking outside, actually. And if it's too cold, I just layer. So honestly, the perfect thing is how I finish. If I finish and I can still walk at the end and I'm in minimal pain, then that's the perfect race. That's That's a good day.
Wow. That is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with me. I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to following you at the BMW Marathon here in Dallas, and I wish you the best of luck there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good day, okay?
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.